Hello, welcome to this video of Heading Home, which is the smart way to do the right thing. This short power presentation will give you a quick history of Albuquerque's approach to homelessness and how to end homelessness for people in Albuquerque and to help them maintain housing. We'll be looking over the past 3 years briefly to understand the context of this new initiative, Heading Home. In 2007, a number of groups all across our city formed together in 5 focus groups to really talk about the issue of homelessness in Albuquerque. And all of those groups that you're seeing represented here were at that table putting together the best minds and thoughts and resources to really address homelessness in Albuquerque. That group issued the response to homelessness, which focused on 5 areas: affordable housing, prevention, service, income, community, and political will. Each of these 5 areas has specific goals in which to have addressed to really end homelessness in Albuquerque. Subsequently, in 2008, the community response to homelessness was incorporated into the 5-year consolidated plan. This helps direct money and activity in a very specifically targeted way to end homelessness. Unfortunately, as most documents and great plans go, for the next couple of years, not a lot of action was implemented with regards to the plan. We knew that the answer to homelessness is housing, but what are the teeth behind that action? What does it really look like? A group began in 2009 to convene to talk about that very question, to really look at how homelessness could be impacted significantly beyond the plan on the paper to how to actually impact persons in their lives. This group wrote an action plan for implementation, which was a plan that would reduce homelessness by 42%. This number, the 16,219 number, that's actually a very broad number that targets persons and households who are at risk of becoming homeless, in addition to those actually out on the street currently. The plan itself focuses first on those experiencing chronic homelessness. At the same time that this plan was being drawn up and crafted, a national plan was released. This national plan also had very energetic, specific goals to end homelessness of chronic people experiencing chronic homelessness in 5 years, to end veteran homelessness in 5 years, family, youth, and children in 10 years, and then at the end of that, to have a plan to end all types of homelessness going forward. So there was a lot of synergy and excitement about this. We met with Mayor Richard Berry on August the 11th and focused on 2 very specific actions. One, let's find out the cost of the savings in Albuquerque for people who have been housed. That means specifically what were the costs to the ER system, the emergency room in the hospital, the first responders, all of those things that are used when somebody's experiencing homelessness. What were the costs 1 year prior to someone being housed, and what are those same costs a year later following their housing? Secondly, we wanted to do a demonstration project, a very specific time-limited project that focused on a specific geographic area and really try a very new initiative. This initiative, this second one, addressing homelessness that results in systemic changes, is based on a national model called 100,000 homes. And this 100,000 homes, the broad goal nationwide is to house 100,000 persons or households by 2013. And rather than explain it, I'll just stop for a moment and you can view the video here. It's about a 3-minute video.
Extraordinarily powerful. I was particularly struck by a young woman that I met who was 25 years old, and she could have been my niece. She was 25 and sleeping on an embankment next to the 101 freeway.
I don't think I'm sad right now. I think I'm just angry. Like, I'm really upset at the way that Clifford has been treated and all the different structures that have failed him, you know, like just fallen right through the cracks.
100,000 Homes campaign is a grassroots movement to bring together communities across the country to find housing for the very most vulnerable homeless people in their streets and shelters over the next 3 years. The Vulnerability Index is a survey that's administered to people who are sleeping outside or in the shelters. It takes about 10 minutes, and it finds out how long they've been out there, what health conditions they have that are associated in the research with a high mortality risk. We get their name, date of birth, social security number, and their picture. It takes homelessness from being this abstract, seemingly unsolvable problem to names and pictures and health conditions. 20 communities in the last 2 years used the Vulnerability Index to prioritize housing for their most vulnerable people that they found. And what they did in 1 week, on Monday, we bring together about 100 volunteers, and it takes about 2 hours. We teach them how to do the surveys. And then on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday mornings, these volunteers canvass the streets from 4 to 6 in the morning. So we get them just as they're getting up. We ask them if they want to do the survey. Usually about 90% of the people we talk to agree to do the survey. When you take what seem like a whole bunch of people on the streets, and you go out and you go to the names and their pictures and their health conditions, and you break it down to these smaller chunks of veterans, seniors, frequent users of the hospitals, especially medically fragile youth, it actually is a much more solvable problem in that way. And then communities have taken that information and advocated for the system's change so they can get people housed as quickly as possible. What we just started learning, really by listening to what other communities were doing, was that once the community had this data in person-specific, rank-ordered by life or death, they started changing their systems. They knew that the status quo, the way that they were doing business, was going to result in those people being on the streets forever or being dead. Again and again, we find that there's people who really want to do something to solve homelessness, and they just don't know what to do. And your local campaign team is an opportunity to bring all those people to the table and give them something productive to do that literally results in knowing who your most vulnerable neighbors are and helping them get into housing and keep that housing. This is a team effort. There's no way we can house the 100,000 most vulnerable people in this country without everybody being part of this team. We want to share the tools with you. We want to connect you with other people that are doing the same thing. All you need to do is go to our website, www.100khomes.org, connect, join, and be part of this movement. It's going to be pretty exciting. I think we're going to fundamentally alter forever the way that this country responds to street homelessness.
Locally, that action and that registry week is called Heading Home. That initiative is to really establish new partnerships to assure the sustainable system of housing. It's getting all of the needs on the table with all of the resources and matching them up. Typically in the past, what has happened is a person may enter one agency for service, but perhaps really benefit better from another agency. They just did not go to the right door. Or there may be somebody at that other agency who needs the assistance of, again, another agency in which they did not enter the door of. Some people who are not going to any agencies are not getting any of the help that they need. So this is a new way of really putting onto the table all of the needs and all of the resources and matching them up in a much more successful way. The Registry Week in Albuquerque, Heading Home, will really be looking at housing 75 of Albuquerque's most vulnerable persons and then sustaining their housing. At the same time, the mayor is funding a study to find out what the cost effectiveness is. That's a Housing First study, and we hope that those results will be available in May. The structure of this new initiative is a core vision team around which is surrounded by many other small groups. Teams of persons who are experts in the field looking specifically at housing units and availability, looking at the support that will be needed to keep someone housed, and various other things that you see here in this slide. Things like helping somebody move mattresses in or household wares in, how to support a person once they're housed. How do we get a team of people around that individual or that family and really integrate them back into the community where they're successful and they feel comfortable and self-empowered to have a new future. The mayor's leadership team is a broad-based team of individuals from the faith community, from the business community, private, public sector. They're really helping to orchestrate a major ask or major initiatives and operate somewhat as a think tank. The vision team will be hearing from the housing team, supportive services team, logistics, all of these subgroups as they face challenges. For example, X number of housing units are needed, the cost will be X amount of dollars. As the vision team sorts through that, they'll be asking the mayor and his leadership team to really help us strategize ways to meet those needs. Across the country, we know that this model is being very successful. These are just a smattering of stats that are here in the West. 62% reduction of ER costs in Portland, 97% reduction in admissions to detox centers in Seattle. There is a lot of research out there, all of which is available, and we'll be providing links and resources to anyone who would have further questions about this model. It really is an effective approach. We know that we'll be saving money. We know that visibly we'll be able to actually see a reduction in persons who are hanging out on the streets with not a lot to do. Now instead they're going to be having a new and hopeful future from their own home in which they'll be a participant in selecting the location. And we hope that this will really build a public and private collaboration. We know that government can't do this all by itself, nor should it. What we're looking for is everyone in the community, private, business, public, the politicians, all of us together, working together for the smart way to do the right thing. This will be January the 30th through the 4th, so we hope that you'll participate and be a part of this exciting time. Please don't hesitate to call if you have questions or click further on any links that are attached to this video or this website to find out more and how you can be a part of the smart way to do the right thing.